Hi everyone, my name is Helen. Welcome to the Shrimpy McGee channel. Today we're going to be talking about something that's a little different from my usual content. You guys who have subscribed for a long time, thank you so much. You know that I usually talk about hair stuff, but today we're just going to take a bit of a pivot because I think that this is going to be helpful to a lot of people, because certainly in my own personal life, I am being asked to look at resumes all the time. It's kind of a long story, but I volunteered my time among my friends and family. I'm a longtime writer, editor, proofreader, and that's what I've been doing and helping people out lately. And so how to address gaps in your resume, like if you've been sick for a long time, or let's say you got laid off and you haven't been working for a couple of years, or let's just say, and this is one of the most common scenarios, that you've been a stay-at-home mom for years and now you're trying to get back into like the office workplace, an office job kind of situation. You just don't really know where to start. Your confidence is low. And I am seeing on YouTube a lot of help, and most of it's pretty good, but it seems to be coming from people that don't have that much actual experience in actually having had a break from the workforce themselves. So we're seeing like academic types, or like people who are like job coach consultant types, but it's not entirely clear to me that they necessarily have taken time off to raise children, for example. So I'm just gonna talk about my own experience and a little bit of my story about the three different main job breaks that I've had, because I've done this 3 times, have had to take time off from the workforce. And if you want to just skip ahead to the resume tips, I'm just going to go ahead and leave a timestamp here. So if you're in a hurry, just jump to this and that will take you straight into the resume do's and don'ts. Get to those soon. But just quickly, let's talk about my own backstory. And I'm sure this will relate to so many of you. I mean, I feel like maybe it's the minority of people these days who are just in a job for life and they just stay there and they don't jump around and they don't leave to raise their kids at all, or they aren't laid off, or they don't try and pivot to a different profession or industry. So probably this resonates with you. My first significant job break was after I'd been living in Montreal for a couple of years. This is right after university. I went to the University of Toronto, and after that I moved to Montreal and I lived there for 3 years and I worked there. And I was underemployed. I really liked my workplace. I loved my coworkers, but it was just time to move home to Toronto. And I just, like I said, felt underemployed. I was doing sort of an administrative job and I really wanted to channel my desire to be a writer. So when I moved back to Toronto, I had no job and I was desperately trying to break into the magazine industry at the time. And this is a couple years. I mean, now you say magazine industry and it's like, who's into that? Nobody. There's no money to be made in magazines right now, but this was a lucrative and sort of flourishing industry in Toronto when I moved back. But still, I had zero experience and I was unemployed at the time, and I was able to collect employment insurance. And so I did that. I was on employment insurance, and for those of you feeling bad about collecting it early on in your career, if you qualify for it here in Canada, never feel bad if it's helping you to level up to your next job, to your dream job. You paid it, it's an insurance. You paid into the insurance, at least that's how it works here. So when it's time to make good and take back that insurance, especially if it's to level up on your career, you shouldn't feel anything but happiness that you have this backup that might allow you to pivot or educate yourself for a different field. And so that's what I use that time to do. It's not that easy necessarily to break into magazines. It's much harder now than it was then, but it's always been kind of difficult. So I got myself an internship. And the only reason I think I was able to qualify for that internship was that I leveled up my skills. I used that time to go to Ryerson University and take some continuing education courses. They were at night, so I think I was taking maybe 2 night courses a week or something like that. It wasn't crazy, but it helped me meet lots of other people that were like-minded. It gave me some new skills, and it gave me confidence to say I could do this like very basic job, which would be fact-checking at the time, that is often assigned to interns. So with those small steps towards qualification, I was able to land an internship. That was sort of my dream role, and from there I became an editor, and I just sort of moved up in the magazine world. And then the next break I took was after I had my son. So that was a number of years. He's 11 now, so that was 11 years ago. Here we have a substantial maternity leave. It's 1 year. And another break that I took was I made a kind of clean break from office life, like having a sort of office job, a salaried position. I decided to go freelance after I had my son. It was just an economics thing. I looked at the price of childcare. I looked at how much money I was going to be making after taxes, and it was going to be something, and I'm sure you guys relate to this. You look at that and you're like, I cannot work like a dog and bring home like $200 a month. That is crazy talk. You know, after you factor in your own transport. I was making good money, but you've got to factor in expensive daycare, especially when they're really little, your own transportation costs, your costs of lunch, your cost of, you know, there's just a lot of different costs that factor into having a sort of office position. And I just thought I could make more money freelancing. And I did. So I did that for, you know, a number of years. I had built a really successful writing, freelancing, editing career, one that I still do. And then I had to take another break, and this one was no choice of my own. And for many women who are sort of in their 40s, you may relate to this, which is I needed a break because I was ill. I am a breast cancer patient, you know, hopefully to be a survivor pretty soon. But yeah, 3 years ago, I had to take a break. I needed chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries, and I took about a year off. I was working a little bit, but not too much. And I was just sort of focusing on, you know, healing, getting better. I was just not physically in a state to be able to work for a lot of those months. Once again, I qualified for sickness insurance. And so of course I took advantage of that. And so that was my last break. So let me tell you, I have a lot of experiences with breaks. After I had my son, I have had a few contract office positions, in which case I did need a resume. But in general, as a freelancer who owns her own business, don't really need a resume too often. I have a LinkedIn page, and a lot of the work I do is digital, so often that has been sufficient. Probably if I were ever to get hired again for an office type position, like a salary position where HR wants to do an interview and stuff like that, I will need to have a really great paper resume. But right now my resume is mostly on LinkedIn. Anyway, I will get to my point. You know, I've done a lot of breaks. They've all been sort of difficult, but the one thing that I will tell you that holds true is that you need to try. So after I did my last stint, I decided to make a YouTube channel. So here I am. So this is, you know, you don't know if you'll be successful or not, but just doing nothing will not get you anything either. So you definitely have to put yourself out there, you know, take those risks. They can really pay off. Another tip I would have just generally is to stay connected with people. There's no reason that you have to lose contact. If you were in the workforce 7 years ago, you probably remember people from back then, people that you were friends with or old bosses or coworkers. Even if you're not that close to them, just reach out. You're not necessarily asking for something, but it's good to keep in touch. You know, if you're on Facebook with them, engage with them a bit. Like, one thing that I've always done and I've been really good at is keeping those communications strong with people that I don't work with anymore, but a large majority of us are on a friend basis and we're not the closest friends, and that's okay. We're former coworkers and we have a bond. So I love to drop them notes and I'll see how they're doing, or I'll comment on their Facebook. Like, it's a very minimum amount of effort to stay in touch with people. I don't know why people don't do that. I hear from people sometimes that I haven't heard from in 10 years and they want something from me, like a reference and something like that. And oftentimes I'm happy to give it to them. But I also think, you know, you could have stayed in touch or between all these years. Like, I'm your former boss. You could have said hi all this time down the road. So my point and tip to you is, you know, stay in the loop with them, communicate. It's never too late. Send them an email, just say how you're doing. It doesn't have to be for a reason. Make those connections with people. What does it take to send an email that's gonna take you literally 3 minutes? Hey, how you doing? It's been a while and I've been thinking of you. Hope everything is well. Okay, so let's get on to the do's and don'ts of resume tips themselves. So when it comes to your resume, I would say don't make any attempt whatsoever to hide the gaps or the times you've been away. Like, if you have been a stay-at-home mom or an anchor parent for the last 7 years, that's fine. Just make sure that you're not trying to hide that. There's no point. And also, I feel like hiring managers and recruiters don't appreciate having to hunt around on your resume to look for it. And what I mean by that is this. Definitely, in my experience, the best way to go is with a reverse chronological resume. And people drop this, like the resume experts here on YouTube drop reverse chronological. What does that mean? It just simply means your most recent job should be listed at the top spot. You understand what I'm saying? So like, if your last job was, you know, 2014, that's the one that you put up top, and then the next one will be the one you had in 2009, and so on and so forth. So you hear some things about like using a hybrid resume or a functional resume, and so this is sort of jargon that you hear. You don't have to do that, and I would suggest you don't. And that's a sort of way that people use to sort of break up where they've been employed and sort of maybe emphasize the different skills they have. And I really would suggest staying away from this, because the last thing you want to do is irritate somebody by making them hunt around for the different dates that you were employed and try and piece it together themselves. Just be upfront. And let me tell you something. So many people have had gaps. You just probably don't know because you're just not exposed to that many resumes. But let me tell you, So many people have had gaps for so many different reasons. It's not that big of a deal. You're really not the only person who has taken years off because you've been unemployed, laid off, you are a stay-at-home parent. It is way more common than you think, so no need to hide it, be upfront about it. My other don't tip is don't mention anywhere in the actual resume itself the reason that you haven't been employed for whatever number of years it is. So what I mean by that is, don't write in your summary, and we should be writing summaries instead of objectives. You guys know this if you've watched my other resume video, my sort of do's and don'ts, or generally speaking about resumes. I will link to that here. Go ahead and watch that. But we're not really writing objectives anymore. We're more sort of moved towards summaries. That seems to be the best advice from all resume experts right now. Don't mention in here that you were a stay-at-home. This is not the place for it. Like, nobody cares in this particular spot. The place to address that is possibly in a cover letter, or if you're writing a personalized email to somebody, you can address that very briefly, like the reason that you are not in the workforce outside of the home for the last number of years. That's the place. Not in the summary, not anymore on the resume itself. And don't list it as a job. It is a job, don't get me wrong. Looking after ill parents, ill family members, and being a stay-at-home mom or dad or anchor parent, those are jobs. You would pay somebody to do them if you weren't doing them, so I don't want to take away from that. But unless it's specifically related to the job you're looking for, then you don't list those as jobs. You just list those somewhere off your resume. Do take an online course or start doing volunteer work. That will allow you to have something up to date on your resume. This is such a valuable tip, and I feel one that tends to be kind of underplayed. If you have not been working outside of the home for 7, 10, 3 years, whatever the case may be, this is a great time to try and up your skills. You can take an online course. There are free ones. They are called MOOC, Massive Open Online Courses. And I took one not that long ago about virtual marketing, for example. And so that's something that you can list on your resume, especially if it relates to your field or if there are transferable skills. Let's say you want to make sure that your Microsoft skills are updated for an office job. Take that. You can take that online. You can take them. You can find them for free. You can find paid courses. If you want to get out there in the world, I'm sure there's a continuing education course probably near you. If you want to get out of the house a little bit, one night a week, definitely take that. It's an amazing thing to list on your resume, showing that you are engaged still in, learning professional skills and professional networking and upping your own skills. And if that doesn't appeal to you, do consider taking on volunteer work. You can do that from the comfort of your own home, but even better yet, if you get outside of the home, very often libraries they have programs to have you sit down with a kid and help them with their reading. That's something you can do. If you're a parent, you've probably done plenty of that. If you can read, pretty sure you'd be able to do that as well. And so also, I just want to caution you, now that we're talking about like working with kids and stuff like that, that while your experience volunteering at your kids' school is so valuable, it is, and this is not me just saying this, there are studies that say that oftentimes that is not really necessarily regarded that highly in the workplace. And is that fair? No, but this is the business world, and so we're going to do what people are looking for, not just what we want to do. I don't know why, probably because they feel like, you're serving your own vested interest, which is your children. If you're volunteering at your kid's school, that is not looked upon that highly. So, you can list it if that's all you have, but if you have something else, I would definitely list that instead. I'm just trying to be real with you guys. That is sort of the nature of the world right now. So my last do share it with somebody that you trust to proofread it for you. And I know you've heard this before, but it really does make a huge difference. You can share it with someone who works in your industry, maybe your old buddy from the office, ask them to have a look at it for you, or a friend who's just really good at proofreading. This is maybe somewhere where you want to reach into your pocket and spend a few dollars. I think it's completely reasonable to spend $50 to have someone good proofread it for you and maybe offer you a few notes on how to improve it. I mean, I spent $80 like on a makeup compact. When you look at it that way, $50 for a better looking resume is really not that much to spend. So I would say definitely take the time, spend the money, whatever it is you need to do to get your resume looking better. Bonus marks for putting it in a better looking template. You can find those for free online. Just make it look good, polish it up. People don't want to see any sort of obvious spelling mistakes or just things that are just super obvious that you may have missed. And so those are all my tips. All right, everybody, I hope that helps if you are a stay-at-home mom or dad or anchor parent, or you've had to take a break for whatever reason. I think that all these tips will apply to you and hopefully help. So don't forget to like, subscribe, give that old big thumbs up, and we'll see you here soon. Bye.